Over 1 million Coinbase customers compromised. $400 million in damages already on the table, and that's just so far. But how did the attackers actually pull this off? The answer might surprise you, and it looks really bad for Coinbase. This is the brutal reality of today's surveillance-driven financial system. Know your customer laws force companies like Coinbase and others to collect and store your most personal details. Details that are now, once again, in the hands of criminals. And this isn't just a financial risk, it's a physical one. Imagine attackers knowing exactly who you are, where you live, and that you hold Bitcoin. This has happened time and again, and we've got examples today to really drive home the point. All of this comes just days after Coinbase was approved to be added to the S&P 500, celebrated as a symbol of trust and stability. But behind that corporate shine was a brewing disaster and a harsh reminder of why trusting third parties with your wealth and your information can be catastrophic. Today, we're going to watch CEO Brian Armstrong's response to the data ransom he received, and it's likely not what the attackers anticipated. So stick around because we're breaking down exactly how this happened and what you need to do to be safe. I am Ben with the BTC Sessions. This is your weekly session. All right, I want to bring in my co-host with the most, Mr. Nathan Fitzsimmons of Bitcoin Mentor. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing pretty good, man. I'm curious, is your wonderful wife there going to vote for the new Irish president, Mr. McGregor?
Well, she doesn't have the passport yet, but I'm not convinced that I don't know if he has her vote either way. We'll see.
But other than that, man, crazy day. I don't know about you, but I've been getting the weirdest phone calls from Coinbase. Support just keeps hitting me up.
Very odd. I mean, I haven't gotten those, but apparently Ledger support is very excited about me upgrading to prevent myself from being hacked.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, I think so. Well, dude, let's dive into this whole Coinbase debacle here. Let's hear from the CEO of Coinbase himself, Brian Armstrong, about what happened and how they're currently handling it, which is very interesting. So here we go.
Hey everyone, I want to make you aware of a disturbing email that we received recently at Coinbase. It was a ransom note demanding $20 million in Bitcoin in exchange for these attackers not releasing some information they claim to have obtained on our customers. Now, we like to do things transparently here at Coinbase, and so I'm going to respond publicly to these attackers by saying no. We are not going to pay your ransom. In fact, I have a few next steps in mind that I'm going to share at the end of this video. But for the rest of you watching, wondering what happened, we did an investigation here, and these attackers have been approaching our overseas customer support agents, looking for a weak link, someone who would accept a bribe in exchange for sharing some customer information with them. Now, our support tools have limited access to customer information. There was no passwords or private keys or funds accessed as part of this. But customer support agents do have access to personal information like name, date of birth, address, etc. And attackers still want access to this information because it allows them to conduct social engineering attacks where they can call our customers, impersonating Coinbase customer support, and try to trick them into sending their funds to the attacker. Now, unfortunately, they were able to find a few bad apples. Our systems are designed to mitigate the impact of something like this, so less than 1% of our monthly transacting users had their records accessed, but this is still unacceptable, and I want to tell you what we're doing about it. So first, any customers that were socially engineered as a result of this incident, we're going to reimburse them. There's more details on our website, on our blog posts about the reimbursement process. You can read more there. Any customers who have been impacted by this or have been notified at this point. Number two, we're hardening our systems around customer support to make something like this much more difficult in the future. And third, we're actually relocating some of our customer support operations as a result of this. But the last step is maybe the most important, which is that instead of paying this $20 million ransom, we're turning it around. And we're putting out a $20 million award for any information leading to the arrest and conviction of these attackers. For these would-be extortionists or anyone seeking to harm Coinbase customers, know that we will prosecute you and bring you to justice. And now you have my answer.
Ooh, he got spicy there, didn't he?
A little bit, right? I can't wait for the internet sleuths to go after that one.
So, I mean, this is interesting because, okay, I will say the turning it around, the offering a bounty on this is a solid move. But the issue in and of itself is not resolved. At the end of the day, you have KYC, know your customer laws, and you're required to give ID, date of birth, your home address, all
blood
of
sample.
Yeah, exactly. Your firstborn child, basically all of this stuff. And it just sits there in a honeypot and paints a target, not only on the custodian's back, because people are trying to get in there and actually steal the funds, but just the information that you have bought Bitcoin or, shitcoins at some point, and all of the information of what you bought, when, probably how much you still have, if it's in the account, if it's not, where you've sent it to, all that kind of stuff. It's just there. And until you can get out of a realm where that's the norm, this continues to happen, right?
Oh, it's absolutely ridiculous. Yeah, like the biggest issue here is the fact that we have these KYC AML requirements. Like the fact that you have to take people's information and then hang on to it. Don't quote me, but I think in Canada, it's something like 7 years is absolutely ridiculous. Yeah. Computers, by their very nature, are not ultimately kind of safe unless you're using proof of work, right? It's always going to be vulnerable. Somebody could find their way in. There's going to be a person you could pressure, you could bribe, you could threaten, all that stuff, right? And so to have your most sensitive information regarding possibly the biggest purchases and asset you have also be stored on someone else's computer, because I know that they have to keep up things for compliance, but you might be a little more adversarial and protective of it if it's something that you're controlling. We shouldn't have to entrust these people with it. And man, for Coinbase, it just feels like blunder after blunder, right? We just had this come out. They've lost customer information. They're going to have to reimburse some people. Plus, they're putting up the bounty. Not to mention that they had like a 14-year head start on Saylor, but they turned down the idea of a Bitcoin reserve. Like, I have no idea what they're thinking at this point in time. I'm pretty sure Brian would have been better off just buying Bitcoin, not doing the company, and just hanging on to it this whole time.
Yeah. Again, like they definitely they haven't had the best track record. Actually, back I'm trying to remember when. I think it might have been 2019. There's a hashtag going around, delete Coinbase. So I made an explainer video of why you might want to delete Coinbase. It was 30 minutes long, just on gripes of dumb shit that Coinbase had done. And that was like 4 or 5 years ago. So it would be much longer. I made it into the Coinbase documentary because of that. So side note, probably don't use Coinbase. But I mean, so just as some examples here of real world examples, not of just people losing money, but actual physical threats. Because there's been a lot just recently. Okay, so this one, this was in March, and I'm bringing this one up because, again, it directly relates to Coinbase here. Although this one was this girl's fault. So this is Caitlin Siragusa, but she goes as Amaranth, as she's a streamer. And so she was targeted by armed thieves that broke into her home. And so basically this was her problem, because she went and she showed a screen grab of her balance with something like $20 million worth of Bitcoin. And she said, oh, should I sell or keep my Bitcoin? And more or less 3 gunmen broke into her home and went in and tried to hold her at gunpoint and force her to move the money. Her, I think, boyfriend shot one of them, which, I mean,
good for him.
Yeah, F around, find out.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. But again, like, you can't go flaunting this kind of stuff on the internet. But like, yeah, here's the if I show here, but you see the 3 gunmen basically, I believe they're chasing her into the home, and yeah. So they're making her go in to get her access to her Bitcoin, and then you hear a shot.
There we go. Yep.
Multiple shots, and then they all bail. One of them actually did get shot. Like that, he didn't die or anything, but like one of them, you can hear him in the background. I got shot. So like, but like that is horrifying. You know, and this isn't the only example. Just the other day, in France, this is a CEO, CEO's daughter.
Yep.
And they are trying to abduct like their young daughter on the street. Like, you know, just so you know, this broad daylight in France, they're trying to shove them into a van and get away so that they can, I assume, hold them for ransom. One of the attackers dropped their firearm, and then some passerbys helped, and then they all escaped and ran away. But like, again, broad daylight, this happened. It's absolutely crazy. And again, yet another example, once again from France, holy hell. But the one of the CEOs of Ledger was kidnapped and actually had his finger cut off.
Yep.
And this is this year so far, and these are just a few examples. It is terrifying to basically be flaunting this stuff around. You need to actually be quite conscious of this. I mean, like some of these examples, these people were quite well off. Like the girl that made the mistake of flaunting her 20 million worth of Bitcoin. You can't really do much if you're like a family member of a CEO of a major Bitcoin company or something like that, or a crypto company. But it just goes to show that you really do need to treat this stuff properly and be careful. And so, you know, there's a few things that you can do, and I think it's worth giving actionable advice in and around this stuff. So there's actually a privacy playlist that I put together here, and I encourage everybody to take a look at some of these things. So there's a QR code on the screen where you can go scan that, save it in your bookmarks, and just kind of start sorting through some of the options there. But I mean, the big things are, number one, if you can, obtain your Bitcoin with no KYC. Okay, so then there's no honeypot of your information in the first place for it to be leaked. So, you know, I've got one here, Bitcoin Well, you can buy via the ATMs with cash and no KYC. There's other options like HODLHODL, RoboSats, BISC, or just straight up peer-to-peer. Go to a Bitcoin meetup, pay in cash, gradually accumulate that way. There's lots of options that you have out there. Then also on-chain privacy. There's a recent video on Wasabi that I did where you can sub in the coordinator. It still functions and you can still coin join. Ashigaru wallet. There's some privacy measures there in the way that you spend, but that can be helpful for small amounts. Cashew, Fedimints, all stuff like that. Even Join Market is still a functioning way of coin joining. And then just general UTXO management. That's a huge help to people that are looking to gain privacy. Nathan, I mean, like in your experiences, like is this, you know, have you seen more? I mean, you must have seen more stories about this. You must take some privacy measures in terms of like just how you handle your Bitcoin.
No, 100%. And I think it's something that we all have to consider. Like, I think I've seen NVK post about this several times, but you should treat your Bitcoin security like it's 10x the value that it is today. But that goes beyond just your direct setup and your self-custody. You have to start being conscientious of what you're putting out there, what information about you is online, how you're talking about it publicly, where you're going, who's with you, and being just aware that even if not today, at some point in time, it's a bearer instrument, guys. And I think in the example from Marith, I think it was the OnlyFans model there, that it's a bearer instrument. There's no safety net. You have to treat it as such. So people may be, especially as peak clown world just gets worse and worse and worse in some areas where people will become desperate. They may try and take the opportunity. It may hit a price point where it's worth it to them. And even just things like pointing on UTXO management, just making sure that even when you're spending, that you're not necessarily revealing your entire balance or a huge chunk for a small purchase. Because again, if you're, I know you've used this example, that if you're buying like a nice new hat online and you're spending from $1 million value UTXO, well, the person that you're spending it to is going to see the change coming back, and they're going to have your address from where they're shipping that product to. So something to be conscientious of. It's something to start thinking about and something to plan for. And this is another great example. I mean, I love multisig and passphrase, and I think they have different kind of applications sometimes together as well too. Not a multisig isn't for everyone, and I want anyone to feel like at the rush and kind of make that sort of thing happen. However, distributed keys, this is where that advantage kind of comes into play, right? Where if you have the ability to secure key material at different geographical locations, it at least gives you the possibility of saying like, I can't hand it to you. You can take the one key, that's fine, but it's not possible for me to move the rest.
Yeah, exactly. There are tools out there that can help protect. But I mean, number one thing is just being careful in the first place. No KYC. If you have that, if you have all options available to you, on-chain privacy, and then making it again with multisig, great point, so that you can't even comply in a quick job. Like if somebody is just trying to break in and get a key and run, then it puts a barrier. Even just have decoy amount. You can have decoy wallets with like a few $1,000 or something. And then in that instance, you have something to give, and then they can get the hell out. Again, I see in the chat as well, people mentioning time locks, things like that. Yeah. There's definitely ways that you can protect yourself. Just be privy to the tools. And again, check out the privacy playlist that can help a little bit in that realm too, but always be careful. So either way, we are going to jump to the next section after a quick shout out to our sponsors. But you teased about it a little bit. We have an MMA legend that is running for the Irish presidency, and he's got Bitcoin top of mind. So we're going to be chatting about that next. Everybody, if you're enjoying the show so far, make sure you smash that like button. And we'll be back in just a minute. Bitcoin Well is the best place to be buying and selling Bitcoin in Canada and the US. And now with Bitcoin Well Infinite, it's also the best place to be making large buys at their OTC desk of over $50,000. Their white glove service gives you fast transactions, no slippage, and the lowest fees. You can scan the QR code on the screen or simply head to bitcoinwell.com/BTC Sessions to sign up today. And you can share your own personalized referral link to earn commissions. DEBIFI is the best and easiest way to borrow against your Bitcoin in a non-custodial way. Funds are held in a multisig escrow where you hold a key, and the platform allows for excellent hardware like the Cold Card Mark IV and the Q. You have access to flexible conditions, the best rates, and institutional grade liquidity. If you're looking to make use of your capital, don't sell your Bitcoin, borrow against it. You can head over to DEBIFI.com to check them out, or simply scan. All right, we are back in. Everybody bust out your lightning wallets. I forgot to give you the heads up, but we're giving away some sats as we always do in this show. So I'm on Bitcoin Well, which we mentioned as a possible non-KYC source for your sats. If you so please, you can check them out, of course, by hitting up the QR code just below us right now. But we're going to give away some sats. Get your lightning wallets ready. Whoever scans the QR code within the browser window first will steal the sats from everyone else. And as a reminder, every time you sign up, buy Bitcoin, refer friends, you earn points that you can toss in the wishing well and potentially win up to 1 million sats. So off we go. And again, whoever scans it first is going to snag the sats from everybody else. And it looks like we've got 658 sats, oddly specific, but we like that. Either way, whoever scans it first, congratulations. If you're in the chat, let us know if you got it. But we will move on to Mr. Conor McGregor. I'm going to read the tweet.
Go for it.
And we'll chat a little bit about this. Not just him, but again, more sovereigns that are getting interested in Bitcoin. Crypto in its origin was founded. That word crypto, I don't know.
It's terrible.
It's forever sullied for me. Crypto in its origin was founded to give power back to the people. An Irish Bitcoin strategic reserve will give power to the people's money. I will be co-hosting a Twitter space to talk about what I want to see changed. Victory to Ireland. And I said just below, make sure Ireland holds its own keys. Very important. Very important.
That's the craziest thing, even just jumping back to with everything we talked about Coinbase. Let's not forget, they're like the major custodian for all the ETFs and strategy and a whole bunch of things here too.
Yeah. It's unbelievable that there's such a honeypot for every major institution. Some countries, like, it's just, come on, guys. I think we can do better than this. But I mean, that eventual train wreck is going to do wonders for self-custody. Everybody's learning at higher and higher thresholds of rug pulls. So I do want to outline just a couple others that have been peeking at this. Latvia, their economy minister, says it's only a matter of time until they establish a strategic Bitcoin reserve. Quote, I see no major risks with it. I mean, that's pretty solid when you contrast that with the governor of Arizona.
Yeah, Katie Hobbs. No good, dear.
Yeah, Katie Hobbs kind of dropped the ball on that one. She did sign something, but it's not nearly as impactful as what New Hampshire did. And then just one more here. Just in, South Korean presidential candidate lists Bitcoin and crypto as official top priority if elected. The next Bitcoin president, perhaps. Who knows? But again, we have these examples of new sovereigns that are looking into this, and it's not just on the full-on country level. It's, we've seen lots of states, local reserves, and U.S. states coming online, but also on the municipal level. Now, I'm gonna just for a second here. We've got the New York mayor, Eric Adams. He says his goal is to make New York City the crypto capital of the globe, and I'm going to call bullshit here. Because there's some major things in his way, namely this little piece of legislation called the bit license. If this is gather round, children, this is a relic of epochs past, but a bit license is a business license issued by New York State Department of Financial Services, NYDFS, for virtual currency activities. It's essentially a regulatory framework designed to ensure compliance. So compliance is defiance. Protect consumers. I'm sure they feel so protected. We'll see an example of that soon. And promote transparency in the cryptocurrency market within New York State. Just to give an example of how well protected people in New York State are. This is on Reddit from a year ago. What platforms am I limited to in New York State as a resident? This, by the way, is a direct symptom of the bit license. So the person said, "What platforms am I limited to as a New York State resident? I have tried Kraken, Swan, Gemini, Binance, Bybit, Gate, Strike, and every other major trading platform, but not all the miners. And the only one that seems available for trading in New York State is Coinbase, which I don't particularly like." So safe. That man is the safest of all. And this bit license, again, little history lesson here, brought to you by a steaming pile of shit by the name of Ben Losky. This guy is just awful. You need to look at his face because that is what a piece of shit looks like. I tell you guys, he created the bit license back in 2015. It's just a regulatory mountain of paperwork and fees, millions of dollars to get a bit license in New York State, which is why so many institutions just don't even bother. You cannot use Strike in New York State. It's insane. And so not only did he draft this legislation and bring it into law, he immediately left his job with the government and went to join the board of Ripple so that he could coach them in navigating his legislation. Again, this face, if you look in the dictionary under piece of shit, that is what you will see. Ben Losky, congratulations, New York State. So I know I went on a tangent there.
Ben, tell me how you really feel.
He has stained the name Ben, and thank God for the High Council of Bitcoin Bens undoing all the damage done by Ben Losky back in 2015. But this dude, we've got work to do, let me tell you. But I digress. Lots and lots of different people interested in the idea of Bitcoin reserves, having it on the balance sheet because they know what's up. And just to further bring that point home, just a couple clips of some institutions that are basically saying this is happening. And so this is a clip. They're talking with somebody from Bitwise, and they are chatting about various countries buying 200,000 Bitcoin worth $20 billion this year. Let's take a quick listen to this one.
Yeah, so last year ETFs bought 500,000 Bitcoin. Again, remember, the Bitcoin network only produced 165,000 Bitcoin. So it bought 3 times the total supply. Corporations bought 250,000 Bitcoin. Governments, I think this year could buy a couple 100,000 Bitcoin. So I think if you look at those 3 sources, I think they'll buy more than 1 million Bitcoin this year. And where is it going to come from? The only place it can come from is people who already hold Bitcoin. The only way they will sell is if the price goes up. That's why I'm so bullish on the market.
Sorry, government? Which branch of the government?
Look, the U.S. already established a strategic Bitcoin reserve, right? It already holds $17 billion in Bitcoin. And the executive order from President Trump told the Secretary of Commerce and the Secretary of Treasury to figure out ways to acquire more Bitcoin without impacting the tax holder. How could they do that? They could sell some of the gold that the U.S. has. They could sell other crypto assets that the U.S. had and plow that into Bitcoin. I think we're going to see that happen this year. I think the U.S. is going to increase, and not just the U.S. We found out that Abu Dhabi bought $500 million of Bitcoin. We've gotten calls from multiple other governments that are investigating Bitcoin. I think you're going to see 10, maybe more governments around the world make their first allocation to Bitcoin this year. It's happening. People aren't talking about it that much, but it's happening and it's a very big deal.
And it's not just Bitwise that's chatting about it. Van Eck had something to say about sovereigns aggressively buying and using, not just buying, but using Bitcoin soon. So let's take a listen to them.
We think there's a good chance that central banks and sovereign wealth funds will start to get more aggressive in adopting Bitcoin, not only as a store of value, but also as a medium exchange. So this year, the Czech Republic, the governor of the central bank there, has initiated a study to analyze Bitcoin for inclusion in their central bank reserves. And then just this week, Russia did a trade with China, partially denominated in Bitcoin, beginning to really use Bitcoin for the first time as a medium of exchange. And that's not for individuals buying coffee, that's for large-scale transactions where countries are using Bitcoin as an intermediary currency to do, say, an oil trade. And in that scenario where Bitcoin-denominated trade could be, say, 5% of global trade, we get to a $3 million price per Bitcoin. That's a long-term prediction, like 2050. But that's going to be necessary, we think, to elevate Bitcoin into the millions per coin.
Ooh, yeah. So, I mean, 3 million per coin. Again, it's funny, after being in Bitcoin for a while and seeing, you know, that that $1,000 seems like moon, 10,000 seems like the moon, 100,000 seems like the moon. It's like price calls like that no longer seem outlandish. They seem just inevitable. But I just want to clarify again, when we are bringing up stuff like this, I'm not necessarily celebrating governments accumulating Bitcoin, but I am wanting to point out that game theory is real and that governments are understanding what's going on, and it's a race to stack sats. And so, you need to be aware of this, and you need to appreciate it for what it is. It's just people understand that Bitcoin are scarce, and we'll touch on it in the next segment, but perhaps even more scarce than teeth. People in the chat know what's up. Yeah.
No, dude, I completely agree. And something about like McGregor and the South Korean presidential candidate and everyone that we're seeing, all these countries coming on board, all these politicians coming out, it's exactly as you'd expect the game theory. And I'd say that like probably not in the too distant future, like politicians saying that they're in favor of Bitcoin and they have a Bitcoin policy, it's going to become boring, right? It's going to be like, yeah, that is the necessary requirement to get into political office. That is the necessary requirement to win your elections, in the same way that going like, oh yes, we're going to lower taxes and give you free shit. They're going to all have to have a Bitcoin position. And to Eric Adams, I'm sorry, you're wrong. Fine. If you want to be the crypto capital, fuck it. You go for it. Have fun with that. We've got Mayor Ken Sims here over in Vancouver. We'll be the Bitcoin capital, and you guys can just play in the mud there. And the last thing I just really want to like get in there as well too is that I always can't help but chuckle whenever someone talks about like, oh, it's going from store of value to medium of exchange. It's like, well, first of all, you can't really separate the two. And second of all, I think Ross Ulbricht, God bless him, might have something to say about Bitcoin being used as a medium of exchange. This isn't new. We've been here before. You're just catching up.
Yes, 100%. And I will also say medium of exchange. Shout out to the upcoming SAT market in Calgary. We've got the Bitcoin Rodeo happening, and we've got our 5th ever SAT market where we built a circular Bitcoin economy here in Calgary. I encourage everybody to come and be a part of it. Friday, June 27th. It's going to be a night market, and it leads into the weekend with the Bitcoin Rodeo. And then we got something special on the Monday that we have not announced publicly yet. So we'll be announcing that later on, but it's pretty exclusive. But either way, it's going to be a great weekend. So if you can get to Alberta, come. We've had people come from Vancouver, from Montreal, from Toronto. I want to see some people come up from the US and visit. I'd love people coming in from other countries. It'd be really, really cool to see. So yeah, come visit the SAT market. It's going to be a good time. But on the other side of the jump, we were talking security. All of these sovereigns are going to have to deal with security as well. But, we want to put the focus on you guys and what you can actually do. What are your action items? How do you secure things for yourself? And there's something brand new in the realm of multisig that we're going to be looking at. It seems very interesting, and we can give you some other tips around that. But you're going to want to hear about this this brand new. I guess what was it? It was there's a demo or some sort of like an initial foray into it's a pretty interesting set of devices, we'll call it. So we'll be back on the other side of the jump. Quick shout out to our sponsors. If you're enjoying the show, please do give that like button a smash. It helps a ton. We'll see you guys in just a sec. Looking for a simple and secure way to manage your Bitcoin on mobile? AQUA Wallet has you covered. It's user-friendly and puts you in full control of your Bitcoin with secure self-custody. AQUA also supports Lightning and Liquid Network, making fast, cheap Bitcoin payments and asset transfers easier than ever. Plus, it even supports stablecoins, giving you ultimate flexibility. Built on open source code, AQUA is transparent, trustworthy, and perfect for beginner and pros alike. Ready to upgrade your Bitcoin experience? Click the link in the show notes or scan the QR code on the screen now to download AQUA Wallet today. Securing your Bitcoin doesn't have to be complicated or invasive. With NUNCHUK's HONEYBADGER plan, you get state-of-the-art multisig with built-in inheritance planning and no KYC required. NUNCHUK is trusted by users to secure billions of dollars in Bitcoin. The HONEYBADGER plan offers 204 assisted multisig, guiding you step by step on mobile or desktop. It works seamlessly with hardware wallets like TapSigner, Coldcard, Jade, and plenty of others, so you're always in control. Plus, with non-KYC inheritance planning, you can ensure your Bitcoin goes to your loved ones. No private info needed. Take control of your Bitcoin today. Click the link in the show notes or scan the QR code on the screen to check out the HONEYBADGER plan. CoinKite has been in the game for years, creating hands down the best and most secure hardware when it comes to securing your Bitcoin. The Coldcard Q is an absolute powerhouse and my daily driver, and it's ideal for newcomers and advanced users alike. The TapSigner gives you a low-cost, user-friendly option for those just getting started or for convenience when traveling. You can head to coinkite.com and use code BTC Sessions for discounts, or simply scan the QR code on the screen to get started right away. All right, we are back in. And side note on that whole Coldcard Q thing, we're giving away a Coldcard Q every single month. And all you got to do is head over to the website and sign up for the newsletter. As a matter of fact, it looks so pretty. Yours is red, and it bothers me that you have a nicer color than I do. But it's really simple. Just head over to, and I'll show you. I'm very proud of the new website. So yeah, but you head over to the website, you give a little scroll, and right beside the Coldcard Q, drop in an email address, and then you can sign up. And again, you're automatically entered every single month to potentially win a Coldcard Q. First one going out this month. So yeah, go subscribe. You'll get updates and lots of fun stuff coming out of the newsletter. But either way, Nathan, let's chat a little bit about this new development in multisig called Frostsnap. Now, I've seen this around a little bit, and it seems pretty damn interesting. So you see, you've got these like 3 little daisy chain. What were you calling it?
Oh, I love it. It's the centipede, right? It's the human centipede of hardware wallets, and I think that's absolutely delightful. I need one. Well, I guess technically I need 3.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of interesting. So it seems like it's a very simplified way of constructing a multi-person multisig. You can see like the name of each. Nick, Adam, and Lloyd have created a multisig together. So I want to show their website and just kind of cover a little bit about what they're trying to do, namely the comparison of what multisig can typically be like versus this. So let's chat. Legacy multisig versus Frostsnap. So legacy multisig, transaction fees can be higher. That's because multiple signatures, multiple inputs, all that kind of stuff. Worse privacy because there's large on-chain footprints that designate, hey, this is a multisig transaction. It can be a technical setup depending on how you're doing it. So there can be more technical barriers for the average person. You'd have your fixed signing devices. Now, I don't know exactly how they're specifying that, but I would maybe push back on that. You can swap things out. And then there are descriptor backup gotchas, they're saying. So maybe they've simplified that process. Side note, of course, I'll be doing a video on this when I get my hands on it. But Frostsnap, what they're saying, same fees as single signature wallets and hidden multisig. Now, that is possible because they are using Schnorr signatures, which means that you can aggregate all the signatures from the different signers and hash it into a single approval signature. So on chain, not only is it less data, so it's cheaper, but it also appears as a regular single signature transaction, which is kind of cool. And so this is something that Taproot enabled. Now, simple and quick multisig. So I'm assuming the simplicity comes in the setup and the daisy chaining of devices during the initialization. Flexible signers with ability to add and remove soon, trademark. And then simple T of N recovery. Okay, interesting. So I'm interested in kind of how they set this up. Again, this is they've got like their initial prototype going and everything. So I'm going to have to play around with this. But again, anything that simplifies a setup for an individual to make themselves more secure, I think is great. And so I'm excited to see this come to fruition and start shipping. But I mean, Nathan, do you have any first thoughts here?
No, that's exactly. I'm on the same sort of lines. There was like, whenever I'm talking to people, whenever I'm onboarding new people, I'm very conscientious that more coins have been lost than been stolen. And so even in situations where multisig is definitely appropriate, I don't want to rush them there because there is more to keep track of. There's more to worry about. There's more things that we have to manage and control, like the descriptor file, right? Got to make sure we got that backed up, saved. We're all good on that front. So Cold Card is still my favorite, right? It's the one that I out there, but there are lots of good products out there, but I love that there's more user-friendly multi-sig setups. So this, along with the, what is it, the big key?
Yeah.
Like they absolutely have a wonderful purpose, and I think it's great, right? I'm glad to see there's more innovation. We're trying new things, and we're continuing to level up self-custody. Like self-custody security should be and is the focus. If things are too cumbersome, if they're too hard, people are going to default to using idiots like Coinbase, and I don't want that. So I'm happy to have additional options, maybe something a little bit simpler. And man, if I got my, like, let's say wish list for this is I want my little like Sentai pad set up. If I can get that air gapped with a QR code, man, off to the races. That sounds great.
Yeah, I agree. That'd be a solid option there. Now, everybody that's watching that's maybe hasn't dove into multisig, again, there's a playlist. I encourage you to take a peek. Just head over to the channel and just search the playlist there. There's a full multisig one. But again, things like NUNCHUK with built-in inheritance, Unchained is a great option. I believe they're only in the US now,
I think so, yeah.
which is unfortunate. Casa did add Ethereum, but functionally it's still like it can be secure. You can roll it yourself with things like Sparrow and NUNCHUK as well. Again, Blue Wallet even does multisig. There's Keeper. There's Liana is very interesting with some of the stuff that they're doing. There's a lot of options out there. So peruse through, take a look at what might be good for you. But first master cold storage before you start diving into multisig. You got to get those skills in order, and it's one step at a time. Now, I wanted to shift gears here a little bit. There's something that you brought to my attention, which is interesting in and around the realm of mining and privacy with mining. So this is kind of cool. Calais, who I love, is awesome. Hash Pool. This is an accountless and privacy-preserving Bitcoin mining pool in development that uses Cashew eCash for payouts and accounting. It's designed for small individual miners like the BitAxe. Hash Pool could allow payouts of a single Satoshi per miner. So there's a whole article on this, but more or less using eCash mints, eCash being, there's a trust trade-off there, of course, but it's kind of designed for small amounts in the first place, and that's what he's saying here. You can get eCash payouts, so there's no on-chain fees. There's not even Lightning fees. You just get paid out to an eCash wallet. Transactions on eCash are near perfectly private. And then you can, from there zap to a Lightning wallet, whatever you want. And that's pretty compelling, especially if you're doing something like running a BitAxe or a future bid or something. If you're pool mining, that's pretty sweet. And I'm very much an advocate of, if you're going to be using something that has a trust trade-off and has a degree of custody involved for small amounts, then you may as well be getting the absolute best privacy that you can. So I don't know, Nathan, do you have some thoughts here?
No, very much to the same lines. And for me, it's just, I love seeing anything that enables more of this at-home pleb mining. Just for one, you're getting that kind of robustness, getting other players in the space. I want to see things pulled away from the corporate side as much as possible. I know it's a giant mountain to climb, but it doesn't mean we can't try, right? BitAxe in every home. And to make it easier, simpler, smaller payouts, get people learning, get people participating, better understanding, right? Sometimes a lot of these concepts and more technical aspects of Bitcoin, you're not going to get them until you try to use them or play with them. So I absolutely love to see it.
Yeah, absolutely.
What were we laughing at?
There's an excellent comment that Lightning Goats in the chat said, "No way I'm trusting my teeth with Casa." I think we need to provide some context here. We're deviating a little bit from the mining, but just really quick here. This Financial Times will call her a journalist.
Why do they always look like that? Like her outfit and everything. Why do they have to look like that?
Yeah. So here's the quote of this woman not understanding seemingly Bitcoin or just generally money.
Money.
She said, "My teeth are scarce, but they're not worth billions of dollars." Her actual exact quote was, "My teeth are scarce and pretty useful,
Yep.
but they're not worth $1 billion," something like that. Anyways, Financial Times. Imagine writing for the Financial Times and saying that out loud.
No, imagine no one stopping you and proofreading it or like checking it out beforehand, and then also being like, "Yeah, I got them. Those Bitcoiners."
It's astounding, absolutely. But I digress.
I saw this one going around. I'm curious then, Mr. Sessions, if you saw anything else this week that you'd recommend to people to check out, or anything else that'd be a cool suggestion.
Yes, absolutely. So, what's the Canute?
Bitcoin Infinity Show.
Yes, Bitcoin Infinity Show. So they are now doing live streams, right?
They are. They just had the first one, I think it was like 4 days ago with Samson Mao. Now they've done live stream before, but I think they're like committing to they're going to do the live broadcast as well.
Yeah, exactly. So shout out to Luke DeWolf and Knut Svanholm. These guys are awesome. I believe I get to see Knut again in. I think he's coming to Calgary, right, for the Bitcoin Rodeo.
If he's not, he better be now. You better be here, Knut. I know you'll see this.
I'm pretty sure he is. And then he's also, I'm going to be seeing him, I think, in Oslo and Prague coming up, which I'm very, very excited for. So yeah, it should be. But Bitcoin Infinity Show, check it out. These guys are awesome, and now doing live streams. So awesome. And I'm going to, again, for our session suggestions, plural, today, let's just go through those. We'll go through those playlists. Once again, privacy playlist, QR code there, very relevant to the topics at hand. Study up, guys. Honestly, if you're not coin joining, especially within Canada, and I'm not really at liberty to say anything more than that, but just know that coin joining is important, especially in Canada. I'm leaving.
Then where is coin joining really important? I know there was somewhere it was really important.
Especially in Canada. Again, not at liberty to say much more, but just there are things that you need to be aware of, and one of them is CoinJoin. Nonetheless, check out the privacy playlist and start learning there. Also, Multisig, start peeking around at that if you haven't already. And just in the realm we were talking about the privacy mining, home mining, just as like a fun thing to dip your toes into, playlist on just home mining with cheap devices. Again, the BitAxe, FutureBit, Brains Mini Miner, the NerdAxe, which is a fork of the BitAxe project, even repurposing something like an S9. So all of that, super, super important. And if you feel a little like I can't handle that myself, there's somebody in the room, Nathan, that you can book a one-on-one strategy call with, of course, with Bitcoin Mentor. So again, our team over at Bitcoin Mentor, incredible educators to help you through your Bitcoin journey, make sure that your setup is strong and bulletproof. And yeah, so you can scan that QR code on the screen, have a little chat with Nathan, just figure out what you even need to learn, what your learning trajectory looks like, and what you might need some help with. You can reach out. I mean, Nathan, you've been dealing with a lot of different people at different levels. What's the experience been like so far?
Well, it's been fantastic because it's a nice thing too. One thing that I take for granted at this point in time is that so many people I talk to have actually never talked to another Bitcoiner. They don't have somebody in their life. They haven't found a meetup yet or a group of people that they can relate to. And so a lot of times it's like a wonderful conversation, something technical, some suggestions, things we can kind of go from there. But it's also nice just to say hi, right? To talk to somebody else who understands this and has that alignment on worldview and ethics and morality and what's important here.
Yeah, absolutely. So, well, I mean, it's very, very important to make sure you're on top of the tools at hand. There's tons of free stuff on the channel for you to read up on. But between social engineering, between physical attack, between databases being compromised, your data being leaked, and real world information about you being out there. You need to have all the best tools at hand. One of them is your digital hygiene, but then also your security. We're going to be having Matt Hill on Why Are We Bullish tomorrow evening, alongside Brian DeMint and Ant. It's going to be an awesome discussion. We're going to find out why they're bullish, but I have a feeling that, Matt always gets so spicy in and around this digital hygiene and digital sovereignty and all of that. He is so passionate about it. So I'm very, very excited for that. And it should be a good time. Also, Nathan, who did you have on Mentor Session earlier in the week?
Oh, this week we had on Lenore Skenazy, a writer at Reason Magazine and author of Free Range Kids. So Bitcoin parents out there, you are parents, you're planning on becoming future parents. Check it out. It was basically full permission to ignore the looks of your neighbors and let your kids roam the neighborhood.
Awesome. Well, that's great to hear. We're going to round out everybody again. If you enjoyed the show, make sure you give that like button a smash, and be sure to tune in for Why Are We Bullish and everything we got coming up next week, and hit up btcsessions.ca. Sign up for the newsletter because you can win a cold card queue every month. We're out. Keep stacking sats. Keep stacking skills. I'm Ben. This is Nathan with the BTC Sessions. And this was your daily session. We'll see you guys soon.